the hard way is back, baby. Man, I swear when we take a pod off, we don't do 2 pods a week. It feels like a long time since we have given y'all the content y'all have come here to appreciate and to love. We are back though. That's Freaking Wrestling, TFW podcast in the house. I am your host, Matt, joined by my co-hosts, Rhodesia and Eshan. And this is episode 164 of the TFW podcast. I tell you guys every single week, leave a thumbs up, leave it like a comment, interact with us, do all that kind of good stuff. Helps us in the algorithm. And on YouTube, I do know the thumbs up actually does get us on more people's algorithm. So thumbs that up. We appreciate you. If you are listening on the audio platforms, leaving comments helps the algorithm. So do that for us too. All right, get the word out. You guys know this is the best kept secret in wrestling podcast.
Free the hard way.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. We will not be the best kept secret anymore because we won't be a secret. We'll just be the best wrestling podcast out
there we go.
Here. I want to get right to the shits, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
PWI top 10, actually top 500 came out earlier this week. And I want to go over their top 10, see if we can pick any holes in the legit top 10, right? Like from a true what they look at wrestling.
My bad, I was on mute. I was like, we picking holes?
Yeah.
On this podcast? But we picking holes out of the... Holes. My bad. Maybe I should stay on mute.
Yes, sir. Holes.
Holes or holes?
Both.
It's like that Peyton Manning, the Peyton commercial. Peyton.
Hey, shout out, speaking of Peyton, shout out to Lions. I want to know, baby.
Let's go.
So I want to go through the top 10 and see if we could, what you guys think about their legit top 10. And then I want us to do our top 10. And this is strictly going to be our top 10, right? So there's really no right or wrong answers.
So you should be saying that to yourself then, because every time I do a top something, you be on here talking about some
like,
what?
I'm gonna rip through your list like Swiss cheese. I'm gonna find all the holes in your list.
The holes or the holes?
All the holes, both. You got too many holes on your list.
BOFF.
So we can do like 10 to, we'll do like 10 to 6 first, and then kind of break that down, and we'll do 5 to 1. So let's look at what they have. They're top 10, and I'll be honest, anything that's not AEW or WWE, I can't speak on. So that's automatically why I would have pulled out their top 10. But 10 is Mystico, 9 is Gunther, 8 is John Moxley, 7 is MJF, 6 is Damian Priest, 5 is Naito. Ooh, I love Naito, but I haven't been impressed with Naito in a while. 4 is Seth Rollins, 3 is Will Ospreay, 2 is Swerve, number 1 is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. So just top 10. Now, once again, talking about really what they look at the whole scope. Promos, character, wrestling ability, connection with the crowd, that kind of thing. What's your guys' thoughts on the top 10 overall?
I don't have it. I can't find a hole in this one. So there's no really any holes. Evidently, Mystico and Naito is the man at this point because they are on this list. I just don't watch any of it. I'm concerned that there's no women on this list, but if I'm just going based off of just what they have here, I'm fine with this list. I'm not going to argue anything on it.
I'm about to pick. I got to pick the holes. Yeah, it's about the women got their own magazine.
Okay,
yep.
Got
and
it.
That hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. Got it. Okay, yeah, no, I'm fine with this. I don't want to have to battle anybody off their list. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna battle some of this, so I'm gonna pick out a couple holes on here. My first hole is on number 5, Naito.
Right?
you know, I gotta tell y'all something. So, you know, when did we get super into New Japan, man? We had the New Japan World. Was that 2017, 2018, right?
Yeah, if not a little bit earlier, maybe.
I
mean,
16,
really
17.
when the Okada Omega feud, the Bucks with the Bullet Club, that was kind of really when we got into it. So
he was younger back then, of course. We all were younger, 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, right. And I would say the man had an aura, but I never got it. Like, his matches at the time compared to everybody else at that time, because that's what for me. And we talked about another show. We were talking about like the style, right? And you're like, yo, why is the style different now? Like, because I hadn't really seen much of that at that time, right? That hard hitting, fast-paced, high-spot style. Like, I don't think he was the best of them then. I don't think I've actually really seen a Naito match that I've said, you know what, this is great. The man ain't cutting promos, right? Not in US that I can understand. Like, I don't get him. He's not for me. And I would say on this list, I think New Japan is definitely down on as far as the ecosystem when we talk about wrestling. They've been down for years, right? So I don't know how that guy, who I haven't seen a great match yet, on the company that's on a downturn, is number 5 on nobody's list. That's a hoe to me.
That's a hoe.
Yeah, like
he had some great matches with Jericho though. But go ahead. That was years ago. That was years ago.
He's had great matches for sure. But the Naito that I saw, we saw Naito on Forbidden Door, right? Did we see Naito this year on Forbidden Door? I know I've seen Naito work this year, and I was like, damn, Naito is not what he's watched right now. So, but I can't speak on him. So I got to take number 5 out. I got to take Mystical out, number 10. So if I look at everybody else, I don't have a beef with this list at all. Especially top 3: Cody, Swerve, Ospreay. Nope. Seth, nope. So say if I took Naito off of 5 and I took Mystical off at 10, so then I'm gonna bump 11 and 12 up to the top 10. 11 was Samoa Joe, 12 was Sami Zayn. I don't know if I could put Joe there. I could put Sami there.
I could put Sami there.
13 was Drew. I would have to go Drew and Sami in that top 10. And
you don't think Joe had a hot maybe 4-month run?
Yes, I think he level set the AEW championship.
Yep.
Like maybe only he could, but he didn't have he wasn't better than Sami or Drew, I feel, in 2024.
I'm assuming he's injured again or something, right?
No, he's doing a movie, I think. Or a TV show or something, yeah.
Okay.
Which is good for him. Good for him. Other notable numbers. Bryan Danielson was 14th. Jey Uso was 17th. Our guy Kingo was 18th. Mustafa Ali was 19th. Eddie Kingston was number 20. Yeah, he was 2 belts. I don't know if I would have him 20. But then when I look at some of the rest of the list, maybe I can't argue it. Okada number 21. Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth 22. Orange Cassidy 24. Adam Copeland 26. LA Knight 27. Trick Williams 28. Christian Cage 29. And Dragunov 30. So that was kind of the top 30 for who we would know. And then
I feel like Ali was a little high.
Once again, like just from a transparency perspective, I haven't seen a lot of his work in Impact outside or TNA outside of like clips on social
Twitter,
media.
Yep.
So,
but he hasn't done anything on a large platform, right, to be that high. But I said to say this though, he needs to be on somebody's TV on a higher platform. He should be somewhere, man. Like I guess this is bad timing. I feel like this character would have been killing it in NXT. Like, right? Like, I don't know what happened to where they're like, you know what, we're gonna finally cut this dude. But I felt like it was his time when he got there, and it just got cut short real quick.
I think this character will be killing in WWE.
Yeah.
Sure do. Yep. So overall, this is probably the first. I'm not gonna say that. Maybe. I think this is the first PWI list. Like if I just look at like that top 20, top 30, that basically, hey, all good. I'm cool with it. I'm cool. Now my list looks completely different because this is my top 10 list, right?
My list's not too far off, but
I didn't go and look like number for number, but my list is vastly different than this is. So let's kind of get into it. So let's do this. Rhodesia, we'll start with you. Let's go 10 through 6. Okay. So start number 10. And then E, you give your 10 through 6. I'll give my 10 through 6. And then let's have a discourse around the 10 through 6 before we go 5 through 1.
And before I go, I did good clarification that we were doing just the calendar year 2024.
Yes, from January 1, 2024.
Yeah, not from September of 23 to now. Nope. We're talking about just calendar year.
That's a bit much.
All I did was pull up the top 10 of PWI, and I didn't look at them. I just wanted to make sure I had it. And I did my list before looking at their list because I didn't want to look jaded or anything like that.
Right.
So here we go. Oh my God, I feel like I don't even know who I am anymore in life. So number 10, I have Chicago's own CM Punk. Number 9, I have Drew McIntyre. Number 8, I did a E thing here about how he doesn't just pick one person. I had to do this. It's a tag, Jade and Bianca Belair. And another thing, we said on our list we're doing men and women.
Yeah.
So we have Jade and Bianca Belair at number 8. Number 7, Rhea Ripley. And lastly, at number 6, I have Gunther.
Gunther. You know, I respect the tag team thing. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you did a great thing.
I know you don't. You like
it
tags.
made absolute sense.
From episode number 2.
He did 20 to the top 25.
Respect every word you uttered just right there. I actually think that was a damn good follow. I actually kind of feel embarrassed to talk about mine after kind of having to follow that up. Gosh, Lee, man.
There's some other tags out there you can put together. You can do the bloodline.
I would argue her number 8. Having Bianca and Jade on there,
but they don't have a
tag team name.
But they package, but they packaged them since like pretty much right after Mania. That's what they packaged.
Wait a minute now, Matt. God damn it, you can't do that because you know the history. Arn and Telly didn't have a tag team name either, and they're one of the greatest.
They're not on the list.
Oh, come on!
That's why.
That.
It'd be different.
You got to keep the gimmick alive. Rhodesia, he got to throw some shade.
One name. If you said Usos. One name. If you said Bloodline, one name. Jade and Bianca don't even have a tag.
The goddesses.
So now you got to take off one somebody from your top 5.
Goddesses.
The superheroes.
The superheroes.
All right.
I respect what you did. I like that.
Who you got from 10 to 6?
All right. So number 10, I got Jey Uso.
Okay.
Number 9, got Priest.
Okay. Whoa.
8.
Look at you.
MJF at 8.
Okay.
Will Ospreay at 7.
Okay.
And I got Seth Rollins at 6.
Wow. All right. So you got to talk about Priest. You was just shitting on this man 2 months ago saying he had the worst title reign in the history of the business. And he cracked your top 10. Is that strictly based off what he's done since he's lost the title and he's turned babyface or what?
I don't think he had the worst, but I don't think he was that great either. But however, he was a major fixture. So for me, I'm talking about who had like impact throughout the entire year. And Damian Priest definitely had impact. He held down Monday Night Raw. We're going to get to it at some point on this podcast about the Raw going from 3 to 2 hours. But he was a stabilizing factor.
We talk about that today. Yep.
On Raw, right? In a powerful way. So not necessarily just his title reign, but his overall presence on that show and that company and what he was able to achieve was phenomenal. So I definitely believe he should be in the top 10. Now, if I want to go off who I like more, I would have raised Jay much farther on my list. I only got him down there because he wasn't able to accomplish as much throughout the year. He accomplished being one of the most over acts in all of wrestling.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you want to say that's an achievement, that is something, right? He's making monies, right? He probably was making some of the most monies on this list. But, you know, he don't have any championship. Well, he does. He has a tag title reign with my guy, Cody. But if he had more of a singles presence and championship, he would definitely be a lot higher on my list.
Priest would have been my number 10, but I was like, I can't be biased. So that's why I put Punk right in front of him. But Priest is my 11.
I had Priest. If we went like a top 15, he would have been there. I had him right around that 12 or 13 mark.
He was my 11.
Yeah. You talk about Jey Uso, that main event on Raw Monday. Woo, boy. Was that crowd was not the best. Calgary typically is not a great crowd.
I thought they were kind of cool.
Yeah, they were cool. But we used to fire crowds now. Like that don't work no more. And they were there for that main event, and that main event was fantastic.
And fun and hard hitting. And
yep.
it was just a great, it was 3 segments, I think, almost, but that was just such a great multi-people
number 1 contender now with Brian Breaker. We've been talking about that before this was even a thing, kind of, on this pod. So, what's the chances y'all give now, seeing how TV's been playing out? Are we giving Jay like a legit, realistic chance to beat Brian, or are we not?
I was originally going to say that if you don't let him beat Braun, then my LA Knight energy is about to come in. But they changed the game for me when they NXT. I don't know, you haven't watched NXT, but the Bloodline showed up on NXT, and it's just like, what's happening here? What's going on? So at this point, there's a world where he doesn't win against Braun Breaker, and I think I would still be okay with it. Where before I was like, no, if he doesn't win, then he got that. I'm gonna be like, well, FJ Uso, because I'm not putting my energy and my emotions in him, because all they're gonna do is bury him.
What'd you call him?
Who? Jey Uso?
Did you call him Jey Uso?
I call him Jey Uso.
Okay, I thought you called him Jeff.
No, I said Jeff.
Jeff Uso.
We can write
hell, there's probably Jeff Uso somewhere. As many as these kids is everywhere.
God damn.
And them Samoans did not believe in protection. That's for damn.
No. Man, that bloodline gonna be running thick until 2035 or whatever, man. They're gonna be around for a long time. I don't know what Jey Uso's plans in this bloodline story implosion. We're guessing it's coming up for WrestleMania, War Games, etc. I feel like they need to rip them shits up, man. I need that sound effect on there. I'm gonna add it next one. Like paper's ripping up. Jey Uso needs to go on and beat Braun, and he needs to be a defense. Oh, God damn it! This woman tonight. We need to take breaks all the time because she is on one
MVP
and
right
on a
now,
good
right?
one. She is, man. From the
I don't got no notes.
5.
All I got is my top 10.
Oh Lord!
And you just ripped that shit up. So now you ain't gonna know who 5 through 1 is.
Oh Lord, let's go. Oh shit. We're gonna have to guess on this one.
Now I do want to ask you guys before I give my 10 through 6.
Okay.
Was that your guys' top 10? Because mine is my top 10. I am not taking into account who should be number 1 or number 2. I am literally taking this is my personal top 10 so far in 2024. Is that how you guys had it?
With the exception of, because again, Roman and Rock will always be my 1 and 2 in like life. I mean, pretty much when we did the Mount Rushmores, they were there. Outside of them two, yes, pretty much. This is probably the most I've been aligned with maybe Best for Business and my own, like me being a fan of wrestling. This is probably the closest they've ever been.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this is when PWI contacts me in the near future to redo this.
Let's go
and delete it. This is me. This is who I'm telling the world should be the top 10.
He gonna submit his damn thing, and Cody gonna be number 1 through 7. They're gonna fire him day 1. It's like, sir, you can't do that. You're gonna have Brandy number 8. This is gonna be a whole.
You gonna start calling him Cody Jermaine. Didn't you call him Jermaine one time? Cody Jermaine Rhodes.
Cody Jermaine Rhodes.
Jermaine Rhodes. Like what?
All right, so number 10 for me, Tony Storm. Number 9, Cody Rhodes. Number 8, Jey Uso. Number 7, Gunther. And number 6, Liv Morgan.
That's like a terrible list. So this is what happens.
This is his favorite.
Matt and Rhodesia just flipped. That's like the worst list.
Stop. That's some shade right there. Stop it.
Well, you had some bad lists though, sweetie.
Stop it. No, because
and when I say sweetie, I mean like from family. This is like from family.
It's my fandom. It's my fandom. It's what I like. Y'all know I like the flips and grips and all the
Jeff Jarrett, House of Horror matches and all that other shit.
Only because of the blood. Only because of that blood scene. And we're gonna talk about that blood scene too when we talk about AEW, but go ahead.
Hey, listen, I liked C-level horror, but but they're bad movies. But I like them. It is what it is. But yeah, y'all flipped. That was terrible.
How was that terrible?
Actually, it's blasphemy number 1 that you got Cody at number freaking 9.
That's why.
My top 10. Top 10.
Your top 10 is shitty. Number 9.
For this year, I have enjoyed Jey Uso more. I've enjoyed Gunther more. And I've enjoyed Liv Morgan more than I have Cody Rhodes.
And Gunther is low on the damn list too. I can't believe. And then it's number 10. You got I started to say, you know what? He got a good one going here with Toni Storm. Number 10, because she started to be my top number 10. I feel like she's been holding the women's division down in AEW for the past year and a half. She didn't crack
your top 10?
It was either I either was gonna move Jay up and move Damian out and put her in. I'm like, Damian's able to carry a 3-hour show for a whole damn year. I mean, that's saying something.
True, but you were really, really, really high on Toni Storm this year, though.
Right? And which is also because I feel like every time we have this conversation, you be telling me that Toni need to drop the gimmick. She need to drop the gimmick. So I'm like, man, you must not be a fan. So to hear you say she's number 10, but then you follow up with saying Cody's number 9, I gotta tell y'all, man, I gotta play the Stephen A. Stop smoking the weed like Jeff on here, man. This is ridiculous.
No, that is my top 10.
This man was in one of the best WrestleMania main events in recent memory. I think just in general, one of the best ones, most popular, great storyline with him and The Rock. And you mean to tell me you got the man who brought about that at number 9? I can't believe it.
And you know why?
I can't believe it.
I don't have Roman on my list at all.
Mm-hmm. He shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, because like outside of just Mania, I couldn't put him on a list. So you say that they're talking about how great that match was. Fantastic. When we do our year-end show, I don't see a match topping that. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's my number 1 match of the year. Is Night 2 Mania, Cody and Roman. But I couldn't put Roman on the list at all. So if I didn't put Roman on the list at all, Cody being number 9 is pretty damn good.
But I want us to keep going here. But we're talking about from January to Mania being April, right? The beginning of April. Mm-hmm. That's half of this look back that we're doing. And the final boss, The Rock, was freaking killing it. Like you said, maybe at the end of for the year of 2024, he might be at my number 1. But just right now, because he isn't there, he didn't make my list. But I could absolutely argue Rock to be on my list.
You know, like those special attraction people. That's where I'm putting Roman in. I put The Rock in. Steve Austin, if you ever come, like them dudes who only pop up for a cup of coffee. And speaking of coffee, I had this mushroom coffee, and I feel amazing. I was on my ass literally like 20 minutes ago. I'm ready to go for at least another hour.
I told him before we started recording. I said, "Imagine need 45 minutes from you."
I got you. So, now at minute 40, I might drop back down again, but I'm good for right now. But like the Roman, The Rock, like them dudes only pop up every now and then. You know, where like it's a special thing to see them, and you know you're not gonna see them again for some time. I can't put them high on my list for a yearly list. Yeah, it's special when you see them, but partly it's special when you see them because you don't see them very often. You don't see them every single week carrying a show like Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest. You see them guys when they write a storyline for them for a couple of weeks. They give us a hot pay-per-view of PLE and then they disappear again. I can't give them guys a number 10 because anybody could do that, but we got to talk about the guys who are doing that. Not anybody couldn't actually, but we got to give it up for the guys who's doing it week in, week out.
Perfect segue to 5 through 1 then. Rhodesia, who you got?
He's about to get hyper. This is within his first 45 minutes.
Let's go.
So we're going, I'm about to just do 5 through 1?
Yes.
All right, well, let's go. So 5, I have.
Or do you guys want to go, everybody gets 5, everybody gets 4? Or do you want to go all at the same time? What you got?
I don't care. What y'all want to do?
Let's just go through 1 through 5. Go ahead, Rhodesia. Let me hit it.
Okay, so 5, I have Miss Mercedes Moné. Number 4, I have Cody Rhodes. 3, I have Swerve. 2, I have Jey Uso. And number 1, I have the Billy Goat, Will Ospreay.
5, you had Mercedes.
Cody.
4 Cody. Okay.
Swerve. Jay.
Okay.
I can't say that's bad. Actually, I'm actually pretty proud of you, sis. I mean,
Top don't shade. Did you say this is fire?
I almost kind of want to tear a little bit. I mean, because see, Rhodesia's doing it the right way, right? Because she hates Cody, but she respects his work enough to put him number 4, whereas Matt ass got him at number 9. That's just ridiculous.
My top 10.
Horrible. So now the Mercedes win at 4.
That's the question I have.
Yeah,
that 5? That's the question. So you've come out and said you've enjoyed her matches, but you haven't really been that high on her character work, her promos. What made you put her at 5?
Because I'm looking like at the impact. And remember, I told you this is probably the first list I did that I've pretty much aligned to maybe what it is for business versus my own fandom. And she is the it there. Now you can say you like Mercedes or AEW or not, but if you do like Mercedes and you like AEW, you would think that Mercedes is having a hell of a run. Every time you see her is popping circumstances. It's like it's a like a festival. It's a party when she shows up. Everything is loud and bright, and the CEO, that rings off in the arena. When it's only a few thousand people there, it still rings off in the arena. So they making her a big deal. So even though I can't say I love Mercedes, I can honestly say though, as far as the top 10 right now in wrestling, yeah,
For
Mercedes
you.
for me, you know, that's still for me.
Okay.
That she's up there. Yep.
Got it. All right.
Man, I was playing my game the other day, WWE 2K24, and this new mod by a chick named Bia. I don't really know her very well.
Bia, like that, like Lil Jon.
Yeah, BIA.
Okay.
Your favorite trash, BA. She has a Patreon. She makes specializes in women's mods, so shout out to her. She made a great one.
Has she shouted us out?
I don't interact with her at all. I don't interact with her at all.
We take that shout out back. We don't shout out.
We take it back. Yeah.
Until you shout us out, then we look.
I did give her some business, you know what I'm saying? Probably for her Mercedes mod, but when I added that mod,
what business you give her? What kind of business you give her?
What kind of business?
What you got?
I have to pay for her Patreon.
Yeah, that kind of business.
Gotcha. Yeah, that business. I said I don't like. I never interact with her at all. But I installed the Mercedes mod. I'm like, man, what a wasted opportunity Mercedes is. I added her videos. Something I just learned in the game. I could actually add the real videos into the game and the music and everything. And everything you said is big. But I know when I watch the shows, like the reactions ain't what they should be for somebody of her stature. Like I feel like when I watch her, like it's not hitting the way that it should. I just feel that her run is very underwhelming considering all the I don't want to say money. I don't talk about money. Get your money, sister. I'm glad you're getting it. But I just feel like she should be a bigger deal in that company. She should mean a lot more. And when I watch the show, I just don't feel like she's at the top on that show.
So what you're telling me is, Eshaun, Mercedes Moné is not in your top 5.
Oh, I don't think she'd be in my top 20, to be honest with you.
Sheesh.
Yeah. But let's get into my top 5. All right, I'm giving up for Gunther at number 5. I got Drew McIntyre at number 4. Not number 4, but number 4.
Okay.
I got Rhea Bloody Ripley at number 3.
Okay.
I got Swerve Strickland at number 2. And of course, you know, I got my man, Cody by God Jeffrey Rose at number 1 on the list, guys. Number 1 on the list. Cody by God Rose.
Just because of the applause at that point, I'm taking Cody out and I'm putting Damian Priest in the spot.
Here's the thing that he needs to know about producing. He's going to be using the soundboard. You can't only use it for yourself. So that means like when Rhodesia gave her number 1, you should have used the claps too. You can't just use it.
No, I still got to use it appropriately.
And who was your number 1, Rhodesia?
Will Ospreay, the Billy Goat.
Ospreay was number 1. That damn sure deserves it.
And real quick, it's the comment that he made about the Mercedes not getting a big enough pop. But if you think about it, besides your Bryan Danielson, those big pops is been reserved. The biggest ones on a weekly basis has been Mercedes and Will Ospreay. Like we've even talked about their new signings. Like those are like really the only 2 people I personally feel that they're pushing. So for me, she absolutely is getting the CEO.
I'm not hearing no pops through my story. I ain't got the 20.1 like y'all got y'all crib. You know what I'm saying? I only got the 9. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, look,
but I'm not hearing.
You know what? You can't really get a pop when you're heel. So she could be. Remember, she's miscast.
Possibly. You remember when she was a face though? I wasn't hearing them either. That's part of the problem.
She was a face for half of an episode. She was
all right, top 5. Let's move on.
Okay, what's your top 5?
We're not going to be doing this Mercedes shade for no reason. Top 5, me, Drew McIntyre.
Talking about
me, number 4. Myself, number 3. I.
And Mia is number 1.
So I got Drew as number 5. We all have Drew in the top 5, right?
No, I had Drew at 9.
That's crazy.
But Gunther, we all was aligned. Gunther was 5, 6, 7 for us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Number 4, Rhea Ripley. Number 3, Will Ospreay. Number 2, which I think we all have this guy at number 2, is Swerve.
No.
Right?
No.
No?
No, my Swerve is 3.
Okay, it's top 3 is what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Top 3. Number 1. I know what you said, Rhodesia. Sorry. Easily number one for me.
Okay.
The final boss. The Rock. Easily.
Yes. I think
one.
we switched lists.
No, this is my This is my top 10. And there was nobody in wrestling, including Cody Rhodes, including Will Ospreay, that got more of a reaction out of us, the three of us, on this podcast than The Rock did during that entire build-up. He's number one. You can't boo that.
What a horrible list.
No, it was actually true list.
What a horrible list.
True list. So, of course, as always, fans, if you guys are listening to the pod, leave me your top 10 lists, and we will absolutely go over some of those on the next podcast. So if you watch YouTube, put it in the comments. If you are on Twitter, of course, just shoot it to me, and we'll talk about it. All right, and then also let us know, too, whose list you agree with more. Okay, and then I'll come back on here and give my acceptance speech about how great my list was. But I mean, once again, you can't go wrong, right? This is our list, so there is no right or wrong answer. I do think it's interesting, though, that Rhodesia, in your top 6, did you have more? Was it equal AEW wrestlers and WWE wrestlers?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yep.
That's what I thought. That's interesting. And not in a bad way. Now, looking at your list overall, is there anything you would tweak? Would you change anybody? Would you pull somebody out? Did you hear somebody on somebody else's list and say,
hell yeah?
What would you do?
I wanted the final boss. He could have been 1 through 5. Line down. Because he was there every week. He didn't just come up once in a while. He produced Friday 30-minute Twitter social media streams before he even showed up on WrestleMania on SmackDown.
Chills.
Seriously. Like, okay.
We missed you, Dwayne. Come back.
Come back down.
Let's hope his next movie bombs so he has to come back.
He gotta be there longer than 2 months for me to put him on my top.
It was more than 2 months.
It's 2 months. I mean,
3.
The content was great. I love the Rock stuff too. And then Rock is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. It's just that I gotta give it up for the people who are there every week. I gotta give it up for him.
Well, with that, because Rock was just head and shoulders above anything for me this year. That's why I have him on there. But that's the reason why I didn't have CM Punk on my list, is just because he was out for a while. He would easily, and he's probably going to be on my.
Same.
I was going to say by the end of the year, he could maybe knock Tony off
because he's going to be in a position to do that.
Correct,
right?
Yep.
He's going to be in a position to do that.
So I think we've seen Tony at her best already. I'll tell you who I was trying to find a spot for. It was 2 people. I was trying to find a spot for Trick Williams because I think he's had a hell of a 2024 so far. And I was really trying to find a spot for Breaker. And I just couldn't.
Not in the top 10, though. I mean, look, there's just a lot of wrestlers in these promotions that I really have a lot. Like, if it was people I like, I'll put Malachi Black. I'll put Christian in my top 10, right? But I'm talking about we got to rank them in importance as well as, like, our fandom. Like, but going back to Tony Storm, though, they got a great opportunity that, like, the AEW. And we'll get to AEW later on. But, man, I can't wait to see Tony Storm as a babyface versus Mercedes Moné. I can't wait to see her this version Tony Storm against like a Britt Baker. I mean, they got some talented women that can square up on that show.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, good job everybody. Really enjoyed those lists. We talked about the main event on Raw. Probably my favorite part of Raw. Definitely the funniest part of Raw, where I let out a audible scream and holler, was Gunther telling Bret Hart to his face Bill Goldberg was his favorite wrestler of all time. Are you kidding me? Now, we had Drew McIntyre as Hater of the Year, was doing his thing. We may have to give it to Gunther. I didn't know this. I didn't know Gunther had it in him. I thought that was tremendous. I didn't see it coming at all. I knew, of course, he was going to heal him. He said, you used to be my favorite wrestler and all that. Okay, great. But when he hit him with the Bill Goldberg line, man, I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a good one. Gunther's the guy, man. I like Gunther.
Did you think they used Bret Hart best way they should have or could have?
I mean, you think about them. You got these guys that are in their 60s. They're not in the best of health. What really can you use them for?
I saw a lot of people online talking about they thought like Drew's gonna put hands on them to get at CM Punk, and I'm thinking to myself, I can't see that happening.
Be careful with that shit.
Yeah, man. Like you don't need that.
You gotta be careful with that stuff.
Yep. You don't need that part. So let's talk about it. Raw going to 2 hours, starting in October, and I guess right now is just until the end of the year when they go to Netflix because they got the 2 extra months through on USA for Monday Night Raw. Word is though, they're not locked into going 3 hours on Netflix. They're still trying to figure out that's what they're going to do. From Netflix perspective, they're saying they're going to allow WWE to basically not be set week in and week out if need be. They want to go 3 hours one week, cool. They want to go 2 hours and 30 minutes another week, cool. They want to go 2:15, 2:45. It's going to be fluid. I was really surprised by how much backlash or alleged backlash was on social media when this came out about there's just too much talent on Monday. You got to go 3 hours. You got to stick to 3 hours. You got to stick 3 hours. Completely different than years ago when we were begging for Monday Night Raw to only be 2 hours. Hell, we were begging Monday Night Raw to be an hour. At one point, it was so bad. So just be careful what you wish for, fans. Yes, it is great right now. Something can happen and it can flip. I don't think it's going to happen. But then we'd be clamoring for us to go back to 2 hours again. But I was really, really surprised about that. What's your guys' thoughts about Raw going to 2 hours from a personal perspective of would you like to see it at 2 hours and stay at 2 hours when they get to Netflix? Or because of what Netflix may bring with potentially no commercial breaks from what we're used to, maybe edgier content that you say, hey, let's kind of stick with 3 hours?
I was just about to ask you this because I just found out about this maybe a couple hours ago. Do we know if there's going to be commercials on Netflix? That's going to add a lot to my decision here. But if I've always wanted Raw to be 2 hours, and I was trying to look it up, and I don't know if it was called the Alliance. I tried to mention this a couple episodes ago, but when they first did the Raw and SmackDown split with Stephanie and Shane, I just remember saying that was supposed to be best for business because now we'll be able to see different people on different shows, and it didn't really turn out that way. But I was happy about it initially. So now the opposite. So now we're going to pull an hour back. So now we're going to see less talent. I can see where people are saying that. But I also can say for the last several years, and the last year has been a little different, that I'm like, this is just way too long. It'd be different if I'm saying, oh man, I'm still wanting more. And now you're about to take a whole hour off. But if it's possible that we're not going to really have commercials, then the time that they're producing is going to be close to maybe the same of what they're trying to do. So for me, if they can go 2 hours, and in Triple H we trust, I'm confident that he has his team that's going to make sure that they're going to push the people that they need to push and make people important that they need to make important. So if I had to go from 3 hours to 2 hours, give me 2 hours. And again, I'm confident the people that need to be made important will be. And if we get something where we can get 2 hours and 15 minutes out of it, wonderful. If it keeps me on the edge of my seat to really, when is this show going to end? It makes me even feel more exciting that it's more of a live sporting event almost. So for me, I'm happy with that. And I think Netflix is going to be a lot edgier too. So I think overall, give me 2.5 hours, and I'm perfectly fine with that. The talent will be pushed.
You know, I was listening to a couple other guys talk about it, and you're right, Matt. You know, a couple years ago, especially when dirty ass Vince was running the show, I definitely wanted it to be 2 hours because I'm like, I can't do 3 hours. I mean, it was just a drag to watch. We talk about it all the time, how those shows just were a drag to watch. They were just terrible. However, these shows under Triple H have really been really enjoyable. It's been really enjoyable. And I think for the most part, it's been an easy watch. I don't think I even fast forward much through the shows. Now, there might be a couple of segments here and there where, you know, I'm not necessarily that attentive, right? Because I don't actually just sit and watch most of the stuff. I'm always doing something else anyway. So certain things get more of my attention than others. But overall, the 3 hours, it has been very nice over the past year or so with Triple H doing it. Now, my only concern would be if they were to cut it down to 2 hours. And again, we don't know what's Netflix going to look like. We don't know anything about the commercials or anything like that. So we have no idea. But I think we're going to lose out on segments like the New Day, the New Day, the New Day, and Karrion Kross, right? Maybe for better or for worse, we might not see the PCR, whatever their name is, PCF, whatever. We may not get 5 segments, trying to get them over. You know what I'm saying? So we might lose out on some character development, and I think that would be missed. But I'm here for it. I mean, I feel like look, SmackDown is great for 2 hours. Like, right, quick show, you get in and out. It might be nice to have a nice 2-hour Raw as well. Like, and I will hope maybe they can, give us the additional content, some additional character development other ways, and maybe, right? Because on some shows you don't see the follow-ups to every character and every storyline every week. Maybe you only see certain characters every other week. And maybe that kind of might make you a little more thirsty for those characters, right? Because a lot of times with wrestling, we get to watch these characters almost week in and week out, right? And sometimes we kind of spoiled by it. Maybe if you only see certain characters on certain weeks, maybe you only see them once a week, once a month, maybe twice a month. It might build some anticipation when you actually see those storylines play out. It might kind of make you, leave you wanting more. So,
right.
I would think that I'm with Rhodesia. I think Triple H and team will come up with a great scenario that makes everything work out.
So if you had a bet, or if you had a vote, what's your vote? 2 hours when they get permanent to Netflix, or 3?
You know what? If they can pull off for 3 hours, I'll go 3 hours.
Damn, look at you.
I'll go 3 hours.
Completely changed, boy.
But now
I guess I'm the only one.
Here's the thing you think about it, though, too. Before you go into it, you think about when they go on Netflix, and like, I'm assuming it's going to be commercial free, because I don't think there's any commercials on Netflix now currently.
It's not.
So I don't know how they would integrate that into the show.
That's a longer show then.
It's a longer show. That's 3 full hours, right?
Yeah,
there's no commercial breaks, right? So that's a long time, right? So
that's
maybe
a weekly pay-per-view. Yep. I'm good.
That
man.
is.
Give me 2 hours.
That is.
I'm straight. I don't need
maybe 2 hours and 30. Maybe 2 hours and 30.
I mean, 2:30, I've always said, is the perfect amount of time typically for a wrestling show. Like back in the day, pay-per-view used to be right about 2:30, 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's just enough for you feel like you got everything you needed. You still want more the next day or whatever that is. I'm good. Just give me 2 hours. Figure it out. And maybe this is going to be a great test run for them for these 2 months on the USA Network to figure out what that may look like on Monday with all the talent, quote unquote. Like there's not a lot of talent on SmackDown. But yeah, I don't want 3 hours. 3 hours is a long time. And especially when there is so much good wrestling. And yes, this is we are now talking out of privilege.
Yep.
I got 2 hours to try to watch on a Tuesday for NXT. I got 2 hours to try to watch on a Wednesday for Dynamite. I got 2 hours on a Friday to try to watch for SmackDown. And then if they have a PLE or pay-per-view that weekend, I got another, if it's a WWE show, 3 hours. If it's an AEW show, it's 6 hours. I don't need an extra hour on Monday. And right now it's football season. So one of
there we
Monday
go.
Football. But it won't be in January. It'll be done. So yeah, no, give me 2 hours. But yeah, I was really, really surprised by everybody who was just talking about, no, there's too much talent. You gotta stick to 3.
But you know what I noticed even more so than with any, I mean, like, of course, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, but people would just be complaining about everything. Like you are going to find a reason to complain, even if you don't even believe in your complaint, what you're complaining about, you're gonna complain. Like it just irritates the mess out of me. Because anytime, all right, well, we'll flip the script because we've been hearing all the vocal minority talk about this. Let's flip it and do this. And it's the same like vocal minority. Well, why do they do that? They so flippy floppy. And this was anything in life. And it just irks me.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
You're not going to Bad Blood, correct?
I haven't decided against it just yet.
I suggest you go, man. I think this is going to be a really good show. Actually, I think it's going to be a great show. The way I was down on Bash
in Berlin,
I am already 4 times as hyped for Bad Blood.
The only thing I got to get 4 good seats, and that's the only hold up. You know what I'm saying?
I know
at this point,
3 was kicking my ass, so 4.
Rich people pocket seats is different. What I would pick.
This guy,
but
see, here's the thing. Then don't bring the kids or don't bring the wife. Somebody got to stay behind.
She don't listen to the show anyway, man. I don't care about if Katrina go or not. It's the boys. You know what I'm saying? Like I had promised them that I would take them to the next live show I went. And so as a dad, I don't want to be one of them parents, right, that make promises I don't deliver on, right? I said the next time I go to a WWE show, I was bringing them kids with me. So, I mean, worst case scenario, I'll bring the kids and I bring her.
There you go. So now you got 3.
Yeah, there you go. We saved you a little money.
4 or 3. But man, highly suggest going. I think that show's gonna be great. I think that's gonna be one of them shows. And typically you don't have like FOMO, but that's gonna be one of the shows. I think after it's done, you, especially living in Atlanta, you'd be like, damn, I should have went to that show. I really think that's what that's gonna look like. But they got some good stuff. Speaking of being there live at shows, Rhodesia, we were at All Out. E, did you watch All Out?
I do my wardrobe change. Hold on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Let me do my wardrobe change.
If you are watching on YouTube right now, Rhodesia is putting on Nicholas Jackson's jacket that she caught from Nick when he threw it on All Out. Let's start with live thoughts, Rhodesia, before we get into... I have one question, and that's probably just going to take us we're not going to deep dive the show. I had a fantastic time at the show, but AEW does this thing to me where if I cut my brain off completely and just watch, it is a hell of a time.
It's fun.
Such a fun time. Like, anybody who watched that show and was there live, I can't speak for how I came across on television, but if you were at that show live and you didn't walk away being satisfied, AEW just isn't for you at all. And just let it go. Because it's really hard to not have enjoyed yourself at that show. The show was super fun. But if I turn my brain on, I could pick apart so many different things. And it's like, once again, fuck, guys, you could have got more mileage out of this. Could have got more mileage out of that. But I'm not going to do that because I had a hell of a time Saturday night. And it was on a Saturday. Can't go wrong with that. Rhodesia, some live thoughts. What were your thoughts about the show?
I remember, and again, it's probably after I caught my new beautiful addition to my wardrobe. So I was hype and excited off of that.
Rhodesia, I didn't know you had the Jackson jacket on. I didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
There you go.
Outside of that, I caught myself like, damn, like this is the fun AEW that I remember years ago. Like, this is All Out. This is the original All In. Like, I'm like, this is what I loved. But overall, I mean, just being able to watch the rubber band match. No, that's not the rubber band match, but with Swerve and Hangman. I mean, and Will and Pac, those 2 matches alone. And again, we don't have to deep dive it, but just being present, watching those 2 matches, man, I'm like, this is some freaking good-ish. Like, and how can you not like this? Now, again, I know there's stories and all that other stuff, but just my first initial thoughts, I was like, I left wanting more, and this is an AEW pay-per-view, might I add. I left wanting more. I had such a good time, and being able to, and we have phenomenal seats too, so that probably has a lot to do with it as well. But just being able to be present there.
Put me over. You're not just about to gloss over that.
Rich bitch.
Yes. Yeah, put me over.
We sat right behind the announce table. And that's the reason why I was able to get my new wardrobe. I almost broke my ankle, and then I broke a couple other people things too. But anyways, overall, that show was so fun. And I just remember thinking back like, damn, this is what I remember AEW being. Just a fun ass show. Now, could it be because you said turn your brain off and it just be there, be present and experiencing live action? That could be it. But overall, in those 2 matches, holy hell. So those are my kind of my live thoughts.
Before I get to my question I have for both of you guys, E, we had talked on the last pod when we kind of did our quick preview, and you said that this All Out for you from a hype perspective, from a setup perspective, they're going against 2-week build, did not hold a candle for you compared to All In. When that show finished, where did you think All Out was at? Would you say that show superseded expectations, it met it, or it was below expectations?
I thought it was a fine wrestling show. I knew I don't share the live experiences you guys had, right? I wasn't sitting, behind the announcers, getting jackets and sweat being tossed on me. You know what I'm saying? That when I actually was watching
man, bad blood.
You could. You get blood thrown on you.
Oh no, I'm not doing. I still ain't got that life in me. But the show was fine. It was not show of the year. It's not a show I would recommend to anyone outside of the AEW hardcore fans. I don't think it's a show. I don't think that show overall, especially with the violence and gratuity of that show, is for a lot of people. I'm very interested in see how that show, what Dynamite does in the future. I think they had a lot of shock factor on that show. And I think a lot of it, I didn't even think it was, I wasn't offended by anything specifically on the show. I'll just tell you that a lot of shit that happened on the show wasn't for me. It's not something that I would get hype on, right? So when you say you guys got left with more, I was good on that. Honestly, was good on that. I wasn't offended by anything I saw either, but I was like, I'm good on this. This isn't something. That was a show that if I had my brother-in-law and other people on the show, they would be like, "What the fuck is this? What in the fuck is this?"
So I think that's a good thing. Because AEW's got to figure out a way, in a good way, to really separate themselves from what WWE is doing. WWE is on fire, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. Fiend, WrestleMania commercial. WWE's on fire right now. And I was watching that show, and at no point did I think it was too much. That is my question to you guys. Before you guys answer it, though, when I was at the show, the last two matches, for me, is everything that's right and everything that is an opportunity in AEW. Last two matches was Bryan Danielson, Jack Perry, and main event, of course, Swerve and Hangman. Everything right because both matches were great matches. Everybody's working hard, crowd's into it, it's exciting. You got super violence in the main event. You have storytelling in the ring at a high level with Mox turning on Bryan Danielson. And probably my favorite part of that entire thing was just the stone cold face of Mox while he's trying to kill Bryan Danielson. He's not angry. He is just stoic. I thought that was fantastic and tremendous. Swerve and Hangman did what I thought they were going to do. I said they were going to have to take it up a notch. One of my favorite matches last year was the I Quit match that they had where Swerve hung Hangman. And I knew it. They had to go farther than that. And they did. Blocks. It was all just fantastic stuff being there to watch it live. The problem with AEW, though, take that out. And let's take out, I want to talk about crowd reactions really quick. Semi-main, you got Bryan Danielson, who is this beloved character. Everybody loves Bryan Danielson. First time he's got the championship. First title defense. This crowd should be 100% behind Bryan Danielson. Going up against Jack Perry, who got choked out by the Chicago living legend, CM Punk. CM Punk got fired. Jack Perry is the scapegoat. He is back. He should be getting heat that is rivaling Roddy Piper back in the day, Paul Orndorff, etc., MJF at his height of being a heel, etc., etc. We get a Cry Me a River chant in the middle of that match.
Right, we did. But I think that was only because we were in Chicago. So it was the people. I think if we were in another city, we would not have gotten that. I'll be honest with you. But because you're right. Because
then that's even worse.
No, because these are people
no positive chant. And Chicago is one of the most smartest crowds in wrestling. That should have been heat on top of heat on top of heat. That was the first one. Second match. I think we all can agree. Swerve is a babyface. You can say what you want to say about he broke into the man's house back in November, whenever it was last year. Dirtball shit to do, of course. But Swerve has been booked as, outside of maybe Will Ospreay, the premier babyface in AEW over the last 6 months. Hangman is a bona fide heel. He just burned this man's house to the ground of his childhood. He is coming out the heel entrance. Middle of the match, we get a cowboy shit chant. That's what I talk about when I talk about emotional investment. In no world should Hangman have gotten a positive reaction from anything he's done against Swerve when he just burned that man's house down.
But I've told you personally, I would never boo Hangman. Hangman damn near saved my life. I don't know if I ever said it on the pod yet. Hangman saved my life.
But, I mean, you do
almost.
You do.
So yeah, so
every 25 episodes.
So to me, I would never boo that man. To me, that man will always be a baby face in my eyes.
But see, you got like, I'm not gonna fault AEW or even the creator for that type of thing. I think that's just you smart fans in attendance that want to shit that shit. Because like Hangman has been booked like a heel since he's been back. Like
he
now,
looks like a heel.
Exactly. The music,
rugged, mean.
The music's changed. His video has changed. He's changed since he's been back. He's been booked like a bad guy. He's been aligned with a bad guy. Like that's just the people in the crowd going into business for themselves. Now Swerve has been a little wonky because he just talked about Bryan Danielson being beloved. Like he kind of turned heel like a couple weeks before their matchup. Like right. So, but that's Swerve is kind of a great character. You know, he's a beloved guy, but he's kind of a heel. Like, right? So he's kind of been booked. That's just his character. He's a great character. You can't always do it, but I think it kind of works in some ways for him. But I'm just for one time, I'm not gonna fault AEW creative for that one.
Well, no, and I'm not really putting on creative. What I'm just saying is the opportunity of having legit clear-cut baby faces and heels and how that adds so much to a match.
Yeah.
You know, imagine if CM Punk was getting 50-50 reactions against his entire Drew feud. Doesn't work the same. Imagine if The Rock was not getting booed the way he got booed at Mania. Doesn't work the same. Imagine if Roman Reigns was a 50-50 split against Cody Rhodes. Doesn't work the same. That's where you really get that guttural, I really want this person to win, I really want this person to lose feeling, and then that makes the magic if we get of all around. So when I talk about like that's the opportunity, that's what I see. I do want to shout out Hangman. You brought it up, E. I am so proud of that guy because if you look at the Hangman that started in AEW, pretty boy, long hair, blonde guy
that saved women,
that saved Rhodesia's life,
yeah, to
what he looks like now. He has completely changed, and it is through character. It is through facials. I think this is not talked about as much because it's in AEW and not WWE, but he's had one of the best character reinventions I've seen in a long ass time. And I just want to shout that out because that takes work. Mm-hmm. That really takes work. And something else I was really impressed with that I don't know how many people picked up on. Match is over. He leaves and he takes some steps forward and the crowd pops. Like he's going to come and beat up Swerve some more. Haven't watched Dynamite. We record this on Wednesdays. I'm excited to watch Dynamite as soon as we stop recording. I didn't take it that way. I took it as he had worry on his face. He had a look on his face of, I can't believe what just happened, what I just did. So I'm going to be interested to see if I would read it wrong or if now we're going down the story of him trying to repair himself. Because the Swerve's got to be gone for a little bit. The big word is, he said after he signed his contract, he was going to get some time off. That was the best way to write him off for however long he's been gone for. But Swerve, I mean, I've always said Hangman to me is like the epitome of AEW. Like when Hangman is on, AEW's at his best. And he's maybe the only person I feel that way about. We've seen AEW be great with or without MJF. We've seen AEW be great without Swerve, without Ospreay, without the Bucks doing the best work. But like with Hangman, when Hangman is clicking, AEW is in a really, really good space. So I'm excited to see where he's at. But I did want to shout him out for that. I thought they worked super hard in that match. Now, there is a certain part of wrestling where we talked about is wrestling supposed to hurt? I think now we kind of got to just put that to the side and say, yes, wrestling hurts. From Gunther's chops to that main event match that we saw. Mm-hmm. We saw MJF and Garcia blow off their feud with a pile driver from the middle rope. We saw the women's hardcore match. We saw Bryan Danielson almost get suffocated to death. We saw everything we saw in the main event. So now I go back to my question to you guys. With all that violence, he said he was never offended or turned off. He said the show's not for him, though. Question is, was it too much?
I'm going to answer that in just a second. You mentioned about Hangman and when AEW is doing well. That was such a good observation, because I remember when AEW became AEW, it was almost like the World Heavyweight Championship belonged to Hangman, to the point where we almost all thought that he was going to be the inaugural champion. In the end, it was Jericho, but it was almost as if this was his company to lead to salvation. So like he was a golden child. It's something that you just brought that up and made me think about that. And then of course we know what happened after that. He did win, then he kind of fell off, then he became a drunk, and then now he's just being a badass guy. But you're right, there is something about the energy around Hangman and the aura of Hangman that when he does well, AEW's on the map. So that's that. The only time, because I don't like certain blood and gut matches. Like blood and guts, I usually don't watch, even though I like to watch blood and guts of years past. But I don't really like watching blood and guts kind of matches. I hate certain hardcore matches. Those death matches, absolutely not. I turn away from them. The only time I felt like, was this too much, was actually the very last move, and it was a chair shot. That to me, it had been years since we've seen a rough chair shot like that. That was the only time. And that's why I feel like, Swerve, you need to be gone until like the week of Thanksgiving, because that should have completely knocked you out. Forget the cinder blocks.
When Darby hit Jack Perry with the chair shot in blood and guts.
I don't know. But I just okay. Well, it did not look as ruthless, and again, because that's how the match ended, as when Hangman gave it to Swerve. That to me was like, okay, nah, that's it. I don't want to see anything else. If we had a lot of that from the beginning, then I would say that would have been too much. But other than that, I thought that it was the perfect amount of violence for somebody who doesn't mind watching violence in wrestling.
That was a bit much. What we know about chair shots, because this is my thing about wrestling. I know it hurts and all these different things, but maybe I'm at a different level. I don't like to see people doing necessary self mutilation themselves for my entertainment and enjoyment, man. I was listening to Ricky Morton. He was on Busted Open the other day, and he was just talking about the chair shots and things that he's done to. He's like 60-something years old, and he was just saying how he has a hard time like thinking and holding a conversation. He said he can't even remember what he's talking about in 2 minutes as he's having the conversation. And he was literally almost like literally crying, talking about the mental state of himself and some other people he's had, he's been in the business with. Like, I'm just beyond that, especially with what we know. Now, I know that we're supposed to be a gimmicked chair or whatever it is. I'm not for that. The needle in the mouth, they ain't got to do that. Like all that kind of shit. Like that, like we talk about ways to bring new viewers. That's not gonna do it. That's not gonna bring people who watching WWE over to the show or bring people back. Like, oh, let me see people put needles in their fucking mouth. Like nobody wanted to see that shit, man. Like that over the top violence isn't gonna make people tune in to watch more of that show. All it's gonna do is, okay, if this is your thing, this is your gimmick, right? As a company, now you gotta top it. Like, right, look at Mick fucking Foley. Like, you know what I'm saying? The motherfucker walking around like he's a hunchback of Notre Dame because he got to keep topping himself. Is that what we got to do? Like, is that what a roster got to do? Like, I don't want to see these young people, 50 years old, having, CTE and, having a terrible way. Like, these people got young children and they doing this for what? For 5 minutes? And here's the thing about the fucking company. They don't have discipline because they going to go over. We ain't going to forget about this shit because they're going to do something else next week. They're going to do something on the next pay-per-view. We're not going to be running this back about what not to do or the dangers of wrestling or how dangerous people are, because we just had the anarchy of the whatever match it was where they had crazy anarchy stuff happen on that show. Yeah. And so then here's the thing. And so let's walk back on it a little bit. So then you have Jack Perry and you got Danielson in the match. Cesaro, I don't know what I want to call him. Cardio does the uppercut. Brian just falls on his butt, right? I'm basically no-so. That's what we do on with those guys. They no-selling everything, right? But that was to set up the plastic bag, right? This man is trying to kill this dude on live TV, on pay-per-view. He's choking this man out with a plastic bag. Like, this is the crowd chanting, "This is murder." It sure the fuck is murder. Like, right? Like, you can't really replay that. And that's going to be, you know what? Let me tune in to AEW next week and see people get choked out with bags. Like, what's the next thing you're going to do? Like, right? If that's what your gimmick is to bring and attract viewers, like that type of violence, like, right? Like, honestly, like my kids don't need to be watching this at all. Like, right, but I sure don't want to see like show replay like the bag, right? So now when my kids are fighting downstairs, they think the way to fight somebody is to grab a damn bag. Now again, my kids don't need to be watching that at all, right? But there's parents that do have their kids watch the show. I just don't think it's just a good look. I think it's unnecessary like that. A brutal beatdown, right? Now NXT on Tuesday, the Bloodline came out and they beat down the Profits. Like that type of thing set up the match just as well as the damn plastic bag over the head. Like they could have accomplished the same thing, the same awe factor when they turned on Danielson out of nowhere would have been just enough. They didn't have to add a fucking bag on his head. That's just crazy. Now I know they're trying to redo Terry Funk and Ric Flair from the 80s, but guess what? Shawn Michaels, my GOAT, was open mouth kissing young girls in the crowd in the 90s, man. We shouldn't be doing the shit we was doing in the 80s and 90s. Because a lot of stuff that we were doing, with the things that we were saying, we can't do nowadays, man. Some of that stuff that was happening back in the day is not appropriate in 2024. So to try to emulate something that was inappropriate back in the day, in the 80s, I sure don't want to see MJF, tongue kissing like 13-year-old girls in the crowd. It's going to be a problem. We can't do certain things nowadays. I just think that was a bit much. I don't think it did anything to move that company forward. If anything, I think it put something like, oh, we got to top something else. I just wasn't a fan of it. It's not something. I heard someone say, and we talked about it before, Walking Dead, like when Negan killed Glenn and the redhead guy, right? Mm-hmm. It just kind of turned everybody off. Like that was like a moment for that viewer. Like this might have been the moment that I stopped watching the show. Now I never felt like that. To me, it just felt like, this reminded me of a Pizza Hut pizza back in the day. I used to love Pizza Hut pizza back in the day. And I love extra cheese pizza because I don't eat meat. I went to a Pizza Hut. I knew the guy. We're friends. And I was like, yo, man, let me get a extra cheese pizza. I got you, E. He put so much damn cheese on this pizza where it made like the bottom of like the crust mushy. And so I bit into it and I just felt like I just had this bunch of cheese just in my mouth, man. I didn't taste it. It just felt like a bunch of cheese mess, right? Because it was too much. It was too much damn cheese. I like cheese. I like pizza, but he did way too much for my enjoyment in that moment. That's what that show was. They tried to do way too much with very little payoff. And I think I'm not going to say it's going to hurt the company, but I certainly don't think it's going to help the company.
And with that 5-minute soliloquy he just gave is why evidently it worked. Of everything you just said, they've completely did something different than what WWE could do or would want to do. And if you got that upset, or not really upset, but if you were able to pinpoint the cons and the
moment that I stopped watching the show, that was a win for them, huh?
Well, you're not going to stop watching. You're still going to watch because there was nothing on that show that made you say, I'm not going to watch this anymore. There wasn't none on that show. I don't think so. We'll see if you don't watch anymore, but they've done some other egregious things more that could insult your intelligence. Nothing on that show insulting your intelligence. We were only talking about from a violence perspective. And I get your point around, hey, if you did in the 90s, shouldn't do it now if it doesn't work for you. But if you're talking about death matches, think about what we used to see with Terry Funk and Cactus Jack. You brought up Cactus Jack or Mick Foley, how he can't walk now and such. Those were more from the bumps than some of the death matches. You're talking about fire. You're talking about the barbed wire. Think about Abdullah the Butcher. Made his living being a hardcore wrestler. Think about people like Bruiser Brody that had all the marks on their foreheads. Devon Dudley. So yes, it can not be for you, and that's completely fine. This isn't a conversation of is it for me or is it not for me. The question I had about you guys was if it was too far, is because I saw some people saying that was too far, and my answer would be that was not too far because they didn't do anything out of anything we haven't seen before. Now, for me, the too far would be if we saw that violence, say with Swerve and Hangman, and they are both on Dynamite tonight, wrestling a 30-minute match, and completely no selling. That's when it's not too far because the violence is too far because now we got to shoot each other to get a reaction and to get you to sell. If they sell, it didn't go too far. Well, now we'll see if they sold. Just like MJF. After that pile driver from the second rope, I'm going to assume MJF is not going to be on TV for a while. That, for me, is the part of, are we going too far? Rhodesia, when I brought up for Blood and Guts, when Jack Perry took the chair shot from Darby.
Oh, you mean when he was on the yep, okay, yeah, I remember. And they threw it at his head, yep.
Correct. And then they started doing the fire thing, and the Bucks, said I quit for him. My argument with that was I didn't have an issue with the chair shot. I'm going to assume the chair is gimmick. My issue was Jack Perry was arguing back and forth with Darby after the chair shot. No, he should be knocked out.
He should be done. Yep.
He should be completely unconscious. And now the Bucks have to be the ones to say, I quit for him because you just laid him out with a chair shot. I shouldn't hear from you again after the chair. So with all the violence that we saw, I enjoyed it because it was the end of whatever we were looking at. Pile driver was the end of that segment. The suffocation was the end of the BCC, evidently. And then the needle and then the chair shot was the end of the entire show. So for me, I didn't think it was too much. I enjoyed it. But I can see somebody easily watching that show and just saying, okay, I'm good on this. I'm not watching this again. God bless. But I will say again, if that is the case, AEW, not to say every show needs to be hardcore, but then that tells me maybe you kind of did something right. And we'll see. We'll see how numbers look.
I was going to ask you, well, what do you think they did specifically right?
Us having this spirited conversation after their second pay-per-view in 2 weeks, leading into their TV deal, just having that conversation about the company and the show.
That's different than WWE as well, or is that in combination? Because you had made a comment before saying that
anything
it different.
That they can do to get us talking deeply, like this conversation, I think it's a very, very good thing for them. Because I think now they're fighting for eyeballs, they're fighting for ears, they're fighting for dollars. So I think if you can get that, fantastic. But now if we're talking from a TV show, like if we watch Dynamite and the follow-up isn't right, or if they no-sell some of the things that happen, I'm going to come on here on our next pod and have a different thought of it. Everybody who's watching this right now is already going to know the answer to that.
I don't think the follow-up really matters, to be honest, in this case. I think this is one of those things that was done for shock value, and shock value isn't really about the follow-up, to be honest with you. Like I feel like, so we are hardcore wrestling fans. We're talking anyway. We're hardcore fans. We're going to talk about it. They should be trying to get non-hardcore fans in the bubble. I don't think this type of thing is what's going to bring that. When we talk about like back in the day when WWE at the time started getting more eyeballs, it wasn't shock value stuff. It was memorable character stories that got people talking and got people watching, right? It was Mick Foley winning the championship. Yeah, back WCW, right? Back in the day, it wasn't them doing.
He did some shock stuff though. Russo did. We had Top of your PP, Val Venus. That wasn't the good stuff though. That wasn't the good stuff. That wasn't the good stuff,
right? But so like I feel like it's getting the hardcore fan, like the people that like that stuff are the people who already are going to watch anyway. Like you guys, I know we watch WWE and we character stories matter, but y'all really like wrestling matches. And y'all heart of hearts, y'all want to see wrestling. Y'all want to see men rolling around in the mat. That's y'all thing. And that's who that caters to. They need to do something they need to create a new niche for themselves that brings people in and not create that pushes further people away. That's what I'm talking about. See if it works. Now it works if not only the attendance starts going back up, you start getting more general interest in the show. That's when it works. We're going to talk regardless about what's happening on the show.
And so then to that point, and then Rhodesia, if you have anything to add, then we can get out of here. This was a show to blow off some of this stuff, right? This wasn't a random Dynamite show where we had this type of egregious violence. If we rewind to last week's Dynamite, Swerve having his house put on fire by Hangman, and that was around social media everywhere. I saw somebody make a comment, and I loved the comment. I don't know who said it, but she said, tonight may have been a game changer for somebody. She basically said the first time she saw wrestling, I think it was an Austin clip. And she said she fell in love at that moment, and she's been a wrestling fan since. She said somebody who's not a wrestling fan is going to come across that clip, see Hangman burning Swerve's house down, and now they're a wrestling fan from that moment. And I thought that was so powerful because she's right. Typically, to your point, E, it is a character, it is a storyline that gets us connected. So if there is somebody who saw that, my man had his house put on fire. So put that in context. You burn a house, my childhood house, my childhood memories, my family was in this house. We should have seen the level of violence that we saw in that match because of that action. This was not just a let's have violence just to have violence. Now, if you want to talk about the suffocation piece, okay. I think the majority of people, when they were talking about it was going too far, was surrounding the violence we saw in the main event. That was what I expected for what we've gone through, though, between that feud. Any other feud in wrestling outside of CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, I think it's too much. Because I say the moment didn't call for that type of violence. With this, though, I think it was right where it needed to be.
They can do that without a stiff chair shot to the head and put needles in him off though, man. I'm just saying.
The last part that I just got to say on the too much, I always interpreted the too much as well as the violence we saw in the main event. So to me, something that was maybe borderline too much was maybe the powerbomb on the cinder block. And then, like I said, the chair shot at the very end.
I forgot about that damn thing.
The syringe, who cares about the syringe? That doesn't hurt me. Outside of pain, people get piercings all the time. But I mean, like, to me, that wasn't like...
I care about it.
My thing is, like, you're not going to, like, to the point of Mick Foley, you're not going to not be able to get out of the bed for 60 minutes every morning because you got a syringe put in your mouth. That, to me, is nothing. The suffocation... We see people get murdered on television shows that we watch all the time. I mean, yes, now it should have been maybe more that kids shouldn't be watching it. Absolutely not. Kids shouldn't be watching it. But I'm not a kid. I'm an adult. I'm a grown-ass woman. So for me, I'm completely fine with that. That's part of my entertainment. But to me, the part where it's too far was the things that you can really, in 10 years from now, say, damn, why did I do that? Because now my quality of life sucks so bad. And it will be almost that power bomb on the cinder block and again the chair shot. But if y'all saying the chair shot is gimmick, I'm cool with that too then. As far as what you were saying, Matt, like the follow-up on it, I see both your points. Like E is like, that's too much. That it like, I don't care about how the follow-up is. That's just too much. But to me, I do feel like what you were saying, Matt, kind of holds true for me too, because if we come back this week and we see everything is hunky-dory, then why did we go through all that? If we wasn't like the proverbial bad blood match, then why would you be so violent in that main event? But we were. You touched my kid. You know, I mean, all that stuff builds up. You burned the house down. I'm supposed to be like this with you. I am supposed to kill you at this point. And they even gimmicked it and said this is unsanctioned, turn the lights off for half a second. They didn't really turn the lights off, but whatever. But point is, I didn't think it was anything too much on that except for that final chair shot. And that's if that chair was a legit chair at this point. Other than that, it's a pay-per-view. We watch movies on pay-per-view. They kill people.
And they go into max.
But
here's the thing. Sure rated.
And people say movies, right? Like the movie is stunt. It's CGI. They're not really doing this to themselves.
But we're still consuming it with our eyes, though. Regardless, the consumer is still consuming a gunshot, and especially with some of the CGI stuff in your John Wicks. It's even crazier because you can see a bullet go through somebody's head. Like that is crazy. But we don't ever complain about that. But we complain about it in wrestling. But if you are an adult,
this is what I'm saying about that, because like I know it's not really happening to you, like right. This man literally, like, I don't know, like, look, it's a cinder block. I don't know how you not feel
boy.
that.
Man,
like,
that I said that one was that was one of the ones I said it was borderline.
Now, even some of their other wrestlers, their veteran wrestlers, they're saying, okay, yeah, a gimmick chair is still a chair shot. Like, right? These dudes are for real hurting themselves. Like, it's the same thing when I said when Edge jumped off the damn cage and brought my look, they doing a little too much for almost nothing. Because like this match in those moments, they're not going to mean anything a month from now. Maybe not even a fucking week from now, to be quite honest with you. Like, right? So I just don't get off on seeing people hurt themselves for my amusement, especially when they're not going to make the most out of it. And especially when I see like what these things have done to some of my favorite wrestlers, right? When you go to these conventions, you see these dudes walking around, like those death matches you talk about back in the day, like a lot of them people, half the people is dead. You know what I'm saying? Half the people die prematurely. Some of it is due to, drugs and alcohol, but why were they doing drugs and alcohol, right? Because from the mask themselves from the pain. Because they was on the road and they was doing all this crazy shit and they weren't able to heal properly. Like, right? It's like, I just can't, it doesn't do it for me to see these people putting their bodies through this. Like, right? And then have to get a very little payoff, man. To get like a pop? Until the next pop.
I think we agree with I think we agree on that, I'm saying that same thing too. I'm saying the attempted murder, I have no problem with that. To me, that actually was pretty cool. Because again, that is something that we know that he's not killing him. Now, the true things that, like you said, that can, in 10 years from now, get you from not being able to walk, that for sure, I don't want you to do that at my expense. Because I'm going to keep on going. I'm gonna keep on keeping on.
Hey, last thing we can wrap up. Hey, look, y'all. This storyline with Swerve and Hangman, right? If you were to explain this to your non-wrestling buddies about this storyline, right? So Swerve is, to me, he's the bad guy in this. But no, Swerve's my guy. He's the bad guy in this. Okay? He broke in another man's house, went into the crib, threw a shirt in a newborn crib, right? Now, we all know you don't put loose clothing in a newborn crib. He could have potentially, harmed the baby,
suffocated that baby.
Like, right? This is the man we cheering. And so you got Hangman who coming back for revenge, but he's the guy getting booed in all of this. So when you really start telling the entire story on all this, it's very, very wonky.
But you gotta tell the entire story, though. You only went from him bringing to the house to now. There was a lot that Hangman has done to Swerve between that. I do think, and me and Rhodesia made a comment, we were going back and forth
as he should.
At the show. I think I still have Punk and MJF as AEW's top feud. This is absolutely second.
This is absolutely one. This is absolutely one. You touched my kid. You got in my kid. Like, that's, you crossed the first. That, I think that was the line that was the point of no return. So yeah, Hangman was doing some dirty shit to Swerve, but when you did that,
he should, right?
Yeah, yes. But when you got into my nursery, then at that point, think about it.
House down is crazy.
Think about it. He became a drunk after that when he didn't defend the honor of his baby properly. Because remember when we said when he went to that house, that first that first week, that first Dynamite after.
You can't say whatever.
Because I'm trying to get this off. I'm trying to get this off before I forget it.
But you can't say whatever.
Listen, because I don't have a good wrestling memory. So I got a good memory here
to get this off. We out of here.
Wait,
man.
no, I got something to ask. In the show, it's about AEW. Come on. Come on.
And also, cutting the show.
This is about Bret Hart. This is about Bret Hart. This is about Bret Hart. Can I ask this?
Because I really enjoyed the AEW show. I like not listening to AEW commentary. I enjoyed the show tons more with not hearing it. And I was sitting there like, why am I really enjoying this so much more than normal? It's the commentary.
Damn. Yep. You are so right on that. And we can leave it on this because I don't know if y'all have the answer for it. But on Raw, Bret was talking. What is a yellow coward?
Oh, it's just a coward. Call him like yellow. But that's like a back in the day thing. Yellow belly.
That sounds a little racist to me.
He didn't say black.
So
belly.
But
he
yellow.
He said yellow.
No, he said yellow coward. And I'm like, what is a yellow?
Oh, is that
coward?
because you're Asian? You're part Asian? Is that like what?
I took offense to that. So I took a little. So me and Bret kind of beefing a little bit. So Hogan, no, never mind. Stop. Let's go. Let's go home.
See, I tried to cut you off.
Let's go home.
I hope they cancel you. You deserve to get canceled. You and your stupid pink coat over there. All right, we out of here, y'all. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back when we back. You know what I'm saying? Follow us on Twitter at That's FNW.
You can't say that.
YouTube, That's Freaking Wrestling. Okay, so we won't be back.
No.
According to Rhodesia.
We'll see you within the week.
That's the same thing.
No, it's not. You said, I'll see you when I see you. That could be like tomorrow, or that could be like 10 months from now. It could be like when Swerve returns, whether it's tonight on Dynamite.
Oh, it's playing right now. Don't you worry about that. We out. Holla at y'all next time.